In today's video, we're going to be going over some fragrances that really spark up a conversation. These are the type of things that stand out enough to where people oftentimes will want to ask you what you're wearing and maybe inquire about it so they can buy it for somebody or for themselves. So we're looking at things beyond just the typical, fresh out of the shower type of smell, which could be mistaken for a deodorant or a body wash, in which case somebody feels that way, they might not be as inclined to ask you what you're wearing because you might not be wearing anything at all, and it might be kind of awkward. These are pretty intentional, where when you smell these, you know pretty much for certain that it's somebody actually wearing a cologne, and it's not just, again, some sort of deodorant or body spray or something basic like that. We're gonna go through each of these today. Like always, I'm gonna put links to what I talk about in the description below. If you wanna do some shopping, you can shop there and get these at prices that I reference, which is gonna be below retail. Also, I post great deals and stuff over on my community tab every day, multiple times a day here on YouTube. It's just the community post section. So make sure you're checking that out from time to time as well. You can score some pretty cool stuff. Now let's actually get things kicked off with Dumont Nitro Red Intensely. Kind of going for a little bit of a clone action here. Now, it's not as simple as smelling exactly like something, but it's definitely somewhat of a familiar smell if you've smelled, a lot of other somewhat newer releases here lately. This one has peach, apple, melon, and amber. I personally love how it smells, and of course it didn't start with this. It started with the original Nitro Red, which over the past couple of years really kind of blew up and got super popular, and it seems like it put Dumont on the map because they've been putting out some more clones here recently, which have been really good and have also been doing well in terms of popularity. So it seems like that one was kind of a pivotal point for the brand, and I think that's great because they do put out some really good scents. Now, in terms of Intensely versus the original, I personally would go for this Intensely version. I'm an straight concentration type of guy. I prefer that concentration. That's what this one is. Not that the original wasn't strong. This one is stronger though. So it does have this fruity sweetness that you would expect from the peach and the apple and some of the amber even. But then you get into more of this kind of fresh aromatic component as well. And essentially what it's doing is it's combining a bunch of things that you've maybe smelled before. So you could argue maybe a little bit of a YSLY, a little bit of a Rosassi Howis type of deal going on in here in combination with many other familiar things. That's kind of what this and the original does here. Ultimately, what you get is something that is just built for mass appeal, built for compliments, and built for versatility, more so in the spring, summertime, but this has the strength that it can easily work right now in fall and winter. Even when it's super cold, even when it's very windy outside, this one, because of that sweetness and that straight concentration, has enough going on to where it simply will hold up. Also, what I like is that this is a brand that does make improvements. I've said it before and it's such a minor detail, but it does have a magnetic cap. The original Nitro Red did not, and so that was kind of a new update. Again, it's subtle, it's very minor, but just the fact that they went ahead and did that, just give it that extra premium feel, to me is pretty cool. If you want to grab one for yourself, you can get these at perfumebox.com and use code CHAOS10 for 10% off site-wide. So you could save, I don't know, $3 or $4 off a bottle of this. And again, that code works for everything on their website, always active. This next one is going to be Herrera Bad Boy. This is the extreme version. So I really enjoy this a lot. It is such a big deviation away from the original Bad Boy, which is really, that's why I like it so much. Has cacao, patchouli, tonka bean, and incense. So what you're getting is kind of a chocolatey sweetness and powderiness from that cacao. The patchouli is giving it this nice masculine edge. The tonka bean also lending to a powdery sweet smell. And then incense, kind of maybe a surprise note, maybe something you weren't expecting to see in this, but it's there. You pick up on it a little bit, not overly strong, but it does give it kind of a nice smokiness to go along with everything. And it does work well, and it is blended in, and it goes along, especially with patchouli. You'll find oftentimes that incense and patchouli are paired together, and it seems like it's a good combination, and that's also the case here. Bad Boy Elixir is another good one. That one's primarily leather-based with some woods going on as well. This one's going to be sweeter. It's going to be maybe more for fall and winter, and you could also argue that maybe it's going to be a little bit more mass-pleasing, a little bit more wearable. just because of the sweetness, which ties it into more of a familiar smell that we're used to. And I don't mean that in terms of this smells like anything else in particular. Again, I just mean that sweet fragrances are what's really popular right now, and this is kind of in that category, although not as extreme as some others, even though this is named extreme. You can get this one for a crazy good price right now, 150 ml bottle for like $79. It's a tester, so this is a 100 ml bottle, and these usually go for like $95. So they've got that at a crazy good price. You get a lot of scent for, I mean, cheaper than the 100 ml. It might be sold out now, but it wasn't before filming this. So if it sells out within a couple of hours, I apologize, but I don't think it will. So make sure if you want to take advantage of that, I'll have it linked down below. It's a really good price for this one. All right, we're going to move into Armani Stronger With You Tobacco. Now I bring this up because it is one of the many fantastic exclusive editions. So this oud, leather, sandalwood, amber, and maybe I'm missing a couple, but I think that's most of them. All exclusive editions, meaning availability here in the United States is very limited, usually slim to none. Your only option to get these most of the time is when they are in stock on discounters, since discounters are importing them from overseas, right? So retail usually isn't even an option. Even if you wanted to pay retail, you usually can't here in the US. This is one that you could pick up right now, and it's been in stock for a little while, not probably gonna be around too much longer, because typically when these do pop up, they sell out quickly and then they're gone again for a while. This and sandalwood are two fantastic ones, and sandalwood is really, really tricky to get too, but that one's great. This one has chestnut, tobacco, cinnamon leaf, and I think they list off some sort of like chili pepper in here as well. So the chestnut, that needs no introduction, and that is still one of the key players. That Stronger With You chestnut smell, it's there. You still get some vanilla alongside of it, so that's giving you, again, that Stronger With You smell that we know about. All that they're doing, and it's very simple, but it does work, is they're adding in a nice red pipe tobacco note, and it smells great. This DNA works phenomenally well with a little bit of a tobacco note. It gives it a little bit more of a mature edge, a little bit more of a masculine feel, because Stronger With You on its own, all the chestnut sweetness can be a little bit unisex leaning and very gourmand heavy. This tobacco kind of helps to balance this one out quite a bit. That cinnamon spice off the opening is not overly prominent. It's a cinnamon leaf, so you'll find that it's not spicy in the terms of like Spice Bomb, you know, or something like that, which people might think that this is going to smell similar to because cinnamon and tobacco. It doesn't smell anything like Spice Bomb, but that cinnamon leaf does give it just a little hint of a kick off the opening. If you want a more mature and kind of refined version of Armani Stronger With You, pick up a bottle of this while you can. I think it's $120 right now, full presentation. You know, that's not a whole lot more expensive than the Absolutely and the Parfum versions. So for an exclusive edition, that's pretty good. Stronger With You Oud, if you can ever find that one, that's another great one that, again, is just a little bit tricky to find given the exclusivity of it, but be on the lookout for that. This next one is Givenchy Gentleman Society Extreme version. I've been talking about the ombre version a lot, which I still love, but I wanted to kind of get off of that a little bit and give you something a bit different, because as much as I could talk about the ombre and wear it almost every day at this point, because I'm really hooked on that stuff, and it really has, I don't think I necessarily forgot about it, but I don't know, maybe over the summer I forgot how much I liked it, I guess. This one here is in a similar kind of category where it is impressively good, better than you might expect it to be. This one has coffee, iris, vanilla, and vetiver. So what you're getting here, pretty self-explanatory. A little bit of a roasted coffee note, nice woody vetiver. It's a little bit sweet without going too far. It's a little bit fresh without going too far. It's a little bit woody without being a straight up woody scent. That's kind of the idea behind this one. It's essentially kind of right down the middle. Now still sweeter leaning, still heavier leaning, so I wouldn't say that this is almost a summer scent right in the middle in terms of that. You know, it's not a summer scent. It's still going to be generally for the cooler times of the year, which for most of us can be spring, fall, and winter. Summer can sometimes be a little bit of an anomaly when it comes to scents, because the heat will affect fragrances in a negative way more than the cold weather would affect something in a negative way, because the heat really can open things up and make them just a bit too overbearing. And so that can sometimes happen with a scent like this, but just, you know, for normal temperatures that aren't too hot, this one is going to be great for. Performance is pretty good too. It's an eau de parfum extreme version, so if you have brutally cold winters, you might want to go for something that is sweeter and heavier just to really push through, or if it's really frigid and windy outside. But I don't know, for most average winters, I think this one would do great. I really enjoy it. It is something that does stand out. This next one's kind of a blue fragrance, but also with a little bit of a twist. You know, it doesn't really smell overly soapy like some of the other versions of this and like some other blue fragrances in general. That's kind of why I wanted to throw it in. It is YSL Y Elixir. Lavender, geranium, frankincense, and oud. So the frankincense and the oud, that's kind of like the two that get people's attention the most, because, well, you wouldn't expect those in a Y scent. We haven't had them before. You do pick up on them, not a ton, okay? If you did pick up on those notes a lot, this wouldn't really be a YSL Y anymore. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the brand is still trying to maintain something that is wearable, mass-pleasing, all of that good stuff. And in order to do so, they could feature those notes a little bit, but just they can't really make them the star of the show like some of us might want. Like, would I like to see a little bit more frankincense and oud in here? Personally, I would. I think I like how it smells now, and if they amp that up a little bit more, I would like it even more. But, you know, it doesn't make sense for them to do that. If they were making some sort of an exclusive edition where they can be a little bit more unique with it, like Stronger With You exclusive editions is one example, then that would be a different story, but this is not that. So you still get that kind of amberwood, geranium, lavender, aromatic freshness, but a little hint of a smoke and a little bit more of a stronger woody presence outside of obviously a sandalwood or cedar wood that you would usually expect. Instead, it's oud, which gives it a little bit more backbone. I think this one is different enough to where it stands out a little bit more than a lot of other scents within this lineup. Let's move into Rabanne Pure XS up next. Vanilla, liquor, sugar, myrrh, and cinnamon are just a few of the notes. They have way more after that, but those are kind of the main ones, the main ideas here. A little bit boozy, a little bit sugary sweet, but also just a little bit of a fresh leaning kind of smell also. So again, it's something where you're getting a little bit of balance, still going to be mostly sweet, but with this brightness about it too that you might not expect. Cinnamon off the opening, that gives it a nice kind of warm, spicy kick. What I like so much about this is that yes, it is a Paco Rabanne, and it's typically a brand that's not known for reinventing the wheel, so to speak, but this one actually is kind of unique. It doesn't smell like anything else that I've ever smelled before, and that's kind of surprising because when you smell Invictus and things like that, you draw comparisons. Now, can you argue that maybe Invictus was the first of its kind and other things copied it? Yeah, maybe, but you know, Invictus to me is still not as interesting of a scent as something like this. I think this actually is more of a fun wearing experience because it is kind of different in that type of way. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it that smells amazing, and especially for fall and winter. Kind of moving down to the end with Ralph's Club Parfum. So I like this and I like the Elixir. Those are two of my favorites. Nothing wrong with the Eau de Parfum, and to be honest with you, I really like the new Eau de Toilette as well. That one surprised me how good it was, but for this video we're going with the Parfum. Lavender, clary sage, apple, some vetiver in here as well, so woody, clean, but at the same time a little bit sweet, at the same time aromatic and fresh. You know, this is kind of becoming a more common type of smell in terms of using a ton of aromatics like that and then some sort of blue fragrance twist, but this one here is going in a step further away from that type of direction where there is a little bit more of a heaviness behind this one, similar to kind of what we talked about YSL Y Elixir, where yes, it's dabbling with some of that, but it's also taking a little bit of a deviation away, but not going too crazy to where now it smells off-putting to some people. I think this one is doing a good job at maintaining the perfect combination of the two, you know, just going right down the middle with it, which is why I chose this one. Last up for this video, we have Versace Eros Energy. So if you want one that is perfect for summertime, spring and summer, but I don't know, mostly summer for me, it's going to be this. This is the first summer Eros that we've had, which is kind of crazy considering, I mean, Eros has been around for a long time and they've done quite a few flankers in between. This is all about the lemon bergamot lime opening. It's sour, punchy, citrusy off the top, and then you get into more of a woody dry down that starts to smell a little bit like Mont Blanc Explorer / Creed Aventus. A reason why I bring up Explorer in particular is because Explorer is like a lighter, more watery take on Creed Aventus. Is kind of how I've always described it. I guess you could almost say watered down, which it does smell that way. And so this kind of smells like that too. Not hating on Mont Blanc Explorer because I think it's great for the price, although in terms of dollar for dollar, what is the best Aventus clone? It wouldn't be Mont Blanc Explorer. For roughly the same price, you could go for one of the Armaf Club de Nuit Intense versions, the EDP, the Parfum, and get a product that's significantly better. So it's all just depending on what you want and the availability. You know, you could get Mont Blanc Explorer in any retailer and probably Walmart and stuff. You can't really do that with the Armaf. You got to buy those online, less accessible, that sort of thing. But anyway, Eros Energy, this one is a huge compliment puller just because it has that DNA that is tested and proven to work for it. And again, that citrus opening will catch you by surprise in a good way. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some fragrances that are definitely some conversation starters. Again, I'll link everything down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.